Hello and welcome back to the Orthodox Talk channel. Lately I've been getting so many questions about the destiny of the soul after she leaves the body. Where does it go? What does it do? What's happening with the soul? And from the Orthodox perspective, from the Orthodox point of view and Orthodox teaching, there are some nuances that we need to remember and to understand, because they might differ from something that you already know. And in order for us to go deep into this, I'd like to mention here that there are some points that we do believe regarding the soul after death, and there are some misconceptions about the Orthodox belief. So I want to touch on that first, and then we'll discuss the matter of the soul after death. So we believe in life after death. Normally, I would use this expression only when I speak to an atheist or a naturalist, because they believe that death is the last point of existence of a person. So I would say, well, guess what? There is another life as well. So life after death, in my opinion, is more appropriate in our conversation with atheists and naturalists, or people who do not believe in afterlife at all. And I would normally speak about the continuity of life if I speak to a Christian or a person who believes in the life to come. Next thing that we do believe as Orthodox Christians is a particular judgment, or a personal judgment of a person after the person dies. We also believe that our soul cannot change after the departure from this life. After the soul leaves the body, there is no change for her at all. But at the same time, we believe in the full ability of God's grace to change the soul's state of being to a better one. And because of that, we believe in fruitfulness of our prayer for the departed. So what are the misconceptions about the Orthodox teaching on the soul after death? Sometimes you might come across a saying that our souls return to God. The Orthodox Church does not teach that our souls return to God. This would imply the pre-existence of souls somewhere near God before our conception, as some heretics believed. This teaching of Origen was condemned on the Fifth Ecumenical Council, and from that point on, the Church has been teaching that the moment of conception is the moment of starting a new life of body and soul. So we do not believe that the souls pre-exist and there is a bank of souls where God goes and takes the soul and puts it into the body. We do not believe that. So there is no reason for us to say that our soul returns to God. No. What do we say instead? We say that our souls go to God. In fact, this is the very first encounter of the soul with God in its fullness, so to speak, or face to face, if you want, or to be more precise, standing in His divine presence. Another expression you might come across when you hear people say something like this: you know what? At least his or her soul is now free. She left that heavy burden. She left that body, and now her soul or his soul is free. The Orthodox Church has never taught about our body being some kind of a burden or a prison cell where our soul is in, let's say, in captivity. Therefore, we do not say that our soul was freed from the body. If this had been a case, we would have never seen the resurrection of our bodies. It would be a pointless act. On the contrary, we do believe that both body and soul will be in eternal life. We believe in the resurrection of the dead, which is in fact a reunion of the soul with the body. However, the body will be a renewed or a spiritual body. St. Paul the Apostle writes in 1 Corinthians 15, "It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body." There is a natural body and there is a spiritual body. So what does happen to the soul after death? During this period of time, or period of separation, let's say, our bodies return to the earth. We know that. We've seen many bodies buried. And our souls go to God who created them. But what are they doing there? The first thing to remember is that they are no longer limited by time. Therefore, any our explanation of that state of being is going to be based on a partial revelation, on visions, and sometimes on our assumption from some indirect sources or analogies maybe. We have to use the image and the language of this world because we don't have a clear revelation from God about that time. So using our language, it is sometimes not as clear as we would like to be. And because there is a mystery behind it as well, we need to refer to the words of St. Paul in 1 Corinthians 13 that now we can see as in a mirror dimly, but when we get there, we will see it face to face. So we are going to use our earthly language to explain what is happening with the soul after she goes to God who created it. The Church teaches that after death there is a particular or personal judgment. Call it whatever you want. In Orthodox theology, the process of particular judgment is not detailed extensively, and there is a room for varying interpretations. Because the specifics of how this judgment unfolds are a mystery and are not explicitly outlined by the gospel or by any other visions or sometimes even revelations, you will find the coexistence of different views on the topic. For example, some people believe in the particular judgment to be in the form of aerial toll houses, while others completely reject this idea and believe only in the particular judgment done by Jesus Christ immediately. The tradition of the Church is full of figurative, allegorical explanations, as well as direct visions that some saint people had about the particular judgment. This is why, in the Orthodox tradition, we observe the third, the ninth, and the 40th day after the death of our loved ones. This tradition, in fact, is adopted from St. Macarius of Alexandria's vision. And this vision is also interesting because it gives a projection of eternity onto our life in time and space. Through his vision, which was expressed in earthly terms, the veil covering the future life is partially opened, and we get the idea of a particular judgment of the soul being done by God. Because on the third, on the ninth, and on the 40th day, according to Church's tradition and according to that vision, the soul stands in front of God. God comprehensively assesses the individual's life. This judgment takes into account one's actions, choices, and the state of their soul, leading either to communion with God or to separation from Him in eternity. The result of this judgment, the outcome, determines the soul's temporal state of being, where depending on her earthly life, she can foretaste either one or another state of her eternal life. I said the temporal state of being because there is no other words in our language to describe the period of eternity from the particular to the last judgment. As we know, the full experience of eternity will come in power after the resurrection of the dead and after the last judgment of all. So the Church simply teaches that there is a particular judgment, but about the ideas of how the judgment is being done, we are open to discussion. In my opinion, there is no way we should be divided over the particular judgment, over the understanding how the particular judgment is done. We believe that there is going to be one, but the form of judgment, we shouldn't be fighting over it. I hear sometimes people who believe that the judgment is done in those aerial toll houses, and the people that do not believe it, they call each other heretics even. We should not do that. We have freedom in here. The Church underlined only the particular judgment, not the form of it. So can we actually help the soul after she leaves the body and goes to God who created her? The Orthodox Church believes that our prayers for the departed this life are possible because every soul is alive in the eyes of God. There is no death in his eyes. Our love for them does not cease to exist either. We also believe that our prayers can help the soul at judgment as long as the soul wants that help. There is another video on this channel about death and prayer for the dead. It's only about 5 minutes long, so I would suggest that you watch it also. I don't want to repeat myself here. I will leave the link in the description below. I would also suggest that you watch another video here about the 3 stages of our life, which might help to get the idea what is the Orthodox point of view on the soul after death, or on the continuity of our life. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments area, and please share this video with your friends if you think that it is worthy of sharing. God bless us all. See you next time. Bye bye.